All right. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us today, this morning. Lions Talk Live morning show edition. You know what? Just a day to go until free agency kicks off. Yes, my voice is still a little hoarse, I guess you could say, from coaching and such on Friday and the end of our regular season. So hopefully you can all bear with me on that and not be too disgruntled by the sounds of my voice. But I do want to apologize for getting the thumbnail up a little later than normal today. Just had some struggles with the provider that starts our show, or I guess that streams the show. And hey, sometimes you got to fight through all that stuff. So I do want to thank Hookadoo and a couple of the rest of you for jumping on out and hey, making sure that I got the show ready to go. But just had some issues with that. But hey, it looks like we're able to get things up just in time to get to the show. But a few things before we get going into today's guessing game on what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's, hey, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to go ahead and get on over to 6,000. And let's see, at the time of doing this video live, we are 32 subs away from that. So if you are enjoying the channel, if you're willing to help out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you like this stuff, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button on the video. And then, of course, last but never least, if those of you have seen the show before know, outside of being a YouTuber and a coach, I am a realtor, have been for an incredibly long time. Let me adjust this here real quick. And if you're looking for somebody to work on your behest, trying to help you save money, either purchasing or selling property, or maybe you just want somebody with a 4 decades of experience to help you in purchasing or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Let me make sure that the sounds on my phone are off in case somebody does shoot me a text during the show. But anyways, yeah, give me a call, shoot me a text. Let me see if I can work for you and try to help you on out. All right. I get yes, we've had time change, so that's probably going to throw a lot of the normal crew off on probably joining us. So I'm expecting it to be a later show today as far as the number of participants, but maybe as the show goes on, we'll pick some people up. All right. All right, let's get things going a little bit here. Garland, greetings and salutations. Had me worried there, Coach. Oh, sorry about that, man. I like I said, I was having some struggles. The program that runs the show basically just it wasn't loading correctly, and then it wasn't taking the thumbnail correctly. And as you guys know, normally I get the thumbnails up anywhere, or the ability to join the chat and such, maybe 15, 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes before the show kicks off. That way everybody can get in, get relaxed, whatever. But today, it wasn't starting, and I was fighting with it heavily, but did eventually get it up, obviously. All right, Gajora, what do you got? Good morning, all. All right, good morning to you too. Hookadoo. Good morning, Coach Dan and the always impressive Do Crew. Woo! And thanks for Hookadoo. Thank you, by the way, for making sure that the show was still going to go on. But I was trying to get everything done in a hurry, man. I was like, come on, man, get this thing launched. Ed, good morning, Coach and Do Crew. Here is how you know that Brad is doing a great job. Everyone across the chat groups has an opinion, and nobody will be right. I think you're 100% right, Ed. We're all guessing on what's going to happen, but we really don't know. I mean, let's see. We're all going to be speculating. We're all are speculating, I should say, what's going to happen with Jonah Jackson. And there are reports out there. I know yesterday, this morning, hey, he's going to get $17 million from somebody. He's going to get $20 million from somebody. He's going to get $15 million to stay in Detroit. It's really the big unknown what's going to happen with him, because what's going to happen with Jonah is going to affect the entire offense. Is he going to remain a Detroit Lion, or are the Lions just simply going to go look for somebody else, either through the draft, lesser priced free agency? I think most of us feel fairly comfortable that Graham Glasgow is going to remain a Detroit Lion. Now, will that happen? I don't know, but we'll see it. But I think most people agree that that's probably where things are going to what's going to happen with Graham Glasgow. There's tons of speculation on CJ Gardner Johnson. Is he going to remain a Detroit Lion? I would say this: there's probably a 40% chance, in my opinion, that he's going to remain in Detroit. I just don't see it as a high probability. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but I'm giving that a 40% chance. And then another big one for us all to consider is Josh Reynolds. Are the Lions going to bring him back? I know there's been talk about him going to Baltimore Ravens, among other teams. I know he's got a strong history with the Lions, especially with Jared Goff from their time in LA, and that obviously extends to Brad Holmes. I'm just not certain on that. And then you've got some other guys, these are just current Lions, obviously, or people that played on the team last year. Anthony Pittman, Kendall Vildor. Are they going to return? So there's a lot of, Ed, to your point, there's a lot of speculation on what we're going to do, who's going to go where. And like you said, most of us are probably going to be way off on what actually happens. All right, JDC, what do you got? Good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. Robert G., if I can get it to click here, man, still just having some issues with the programs. All right, Robert G., good morning, Dan and crew. Back at you, buddy. Hopefully having a very good morning. All right, Robert G., I know they won't sign. I know who they won't sign. All right, who you got, Robert? Who are we not going to sign? And, yeah, I guess there'll be speculation on that, as well as who are we going to sign. All right, Gary, good morning, Dew Crew. Back at you, my friend. T. Bourne, what do you got? Good morning, Dew Crew, exclamation points. We're going to sign tomorrow. Who are we going to sign tomorrow? It's just, like I was saying earlier, there's just so much speculation. Who's going where? Are we going to trade for Ladarius Sneed? Are we going to trade for somebody else? I think we all do honestly trust whatever Brad Holmes is going to ultimately do. That's going to be probably the right thing to do. I will say this. I know we talked about it yesterday and for a few days now. I have been surprised that we haven't received more kind of rumors or word getting out, who's signing where with what NFL teams. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't been the normal. Normally in past years, I'd say for the last 5 or 6 years, by this point, 24, 48 hours before free agency kicks off, you would hear some of the speculation and rumors coming out who's signing with where, but that really hasn't been the case so much this year. And I'm a little impressed by that, just because it's pretty hard to keep things silent. Somebody finds out from somebody what's going to happen, and so far it's been pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot of breaking news on stuff. But I will say this: tomorrow, as we get closer to 1:00, I will be trying to put together videos. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the live, so apologies to anybody who wanted the live stream in regards to tracking things. But I'll try to make sure I get out videos as quick as I can, and they might be just short 2, 3, 4 minute ones, but I'll get them out as fast as I can to everybody. All right, Matthew, greetings and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Well, Chris Jones is off the list, and it has reset the price for and hey, kudos to Chris Jones. Chris Jones inking, what is it, basically just under $100 million 5-year deal, so $95 million guaranteed. Wow. And that's the impressive part. The NFL, at least for some players, I shouldn't say on the norm or anything, but the NFL really is becoming the NBA with the guaranteed money and deals. So unfortunately, Chris Jones isn't going to be a Detroit Lion. Not that I think most of us really had high expectations that was going to be the case, but it is, you guys probably know, Adam Scheffler broke the news yesterday that, he was going to sign a 5-year extension for $95 million guaranteed. It's going to be the highest average salary per paid out to a defensive tackle ever, but who knows how long that's going to last. I'm trying to think if there's any real big other free agency news, and nothing really comes to the top of my noggin as far as across the NFL. But in the next, I would anticipate today we will get some other news. All right, AJ, time change will throw off a lot of people today. Yeah, I 100%. And again, apologies for me having some issues with the program, and it's still acting up a little bit. So I'm guessing it's something on their end. But time change, my guess is probably another 20 minutes. You're going to see a lot of people jumping in the chat because that's about the time I normally post stuff. And, hey, people will be coming on in and going, oh, yeah, I forgot about the time change. All right, Papa, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, everyone. Listening while driving. Have a good morning, all. Good morning to you, too. However you consume Lions Talk Live. Just thankful for the Dew crew and everybody in here 100%. So have a great day, my friend. Clark, good morning, everyone. Back at you. Stephanie, good morning. Same to you. Dina, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. All right, back at you, and hopefully you're having a great day as well. Ed, good morning. This is a good time. Don't fall back so much with messages. That is true. I'm definitely a lot closer to being on top of things when I post it a little bit later. So yeah, you don't have 20 or 30 minutes worth of messages built up. Anthony, good morning, Dew Crew. Super Bowl or bust, 1,000%. And you know what? I've got to get your information in there as well. So hold on a second, everybody. As most of you know, Anthony's been working on the Dew Crew t-shirts. And as far as designs, Anthony, tell you what, I just sent you a message basically on Facebook, which one, and the one with the I just put a heart on it for you, so that should stand out. But as most of you know, sorry if I'm kind of shotgunning through this, Anthony has designed some t-shirts. I'm going to go ahead and put the code in the chat again. I know I did this yesterday, but anybody who wants to order them, go ahead and contact them. There you go. It's in the chat. And yeah, he'll put up some, get me some options. I know I sent them to you guys last week as far as Dew Crew t-shirts. Now you got the way to contact him, and go ahead. And if you want to order a Dew Crew t-shirt, you can. All right. Big D, morning, guys. Morning to you too. Ed, the Dew Crew want one big name player, or do we want four good backups? Whew. So do you go all in, according to Ed, on one big name, or do you have a bunch of good guys? I'm going to guess Brad Holmes, just based on what he's shown us so far in his career in Detroit. It's probably not going to be one big name free agent. It's probably going to be four guys. Some of them will be starters. Some of them will be backups. So at least that's my anticipation. I do like the fact that the Lions, for the most part, like last year, they really didn't have huge holes everywhere, although you could probably say cornerback was a huge one. But, unlike a lot of teams, they were pretty stable across most of the roster. And I really do think this year, via free agency, via the draft, you're going to have that continue. I do think probably Jonah Jackson's going to be gone. I do think you're also going to draft a offensive lineman pretty high. Now, that doesn't mean you don't sign some other people, but my guess is you're going to basically have the mantra that we're going to let Jonah Jackson go and re-sign two offensive linemen, Glasgow and somebody similar at virtually the same asking price. In the secondary, I mean, who knows? I mean, the more we've heard speculation about the Lions trying to get, Donnell Hunter last year, or Burns, or Sweat, that maybe there is some real possibility the Detroit Lions will make a move to sign a quote-unquote premium defensive player. Whether it's that end at corner, we'll see. But I would say this, Ed, my guess is it's going to be, in your example, four guys that are, above average, but not, the superstar names. All right, Ed, by the time the show starts normally, it's hard to respond because so many messages are posted. It is, man, and I guess there's no easy way to do it. I mean, I get it out there earlier. People get engaged earlier. But you are 100% right. If I post it closer to the start of the show, then, it's easier for me to get through messages. So it's a tough one for sure. All right, Robert G., with the Chris Jones deal, wouldn't you think Snead is on his way to a different team? Yeah, I would say so. And maybe it's already virtually worked out. I know when we started talking about Chris Snead coming to Detroit, it seems like about a month ago now. It's been a while. And then you've seen probably a bunch of places over the past month report on it too. Is that ultimately what happens? Chris Snead to Detroit, a new contract is set up. I would think I guess just put it this way, to your point, I don't think they can keep both of them. I mean, anybody can find a way to make it happen. I just think they're really going to hemlock themselves or lock their salary caps in if they keep both guys. So what I guess let's play this out. If Snead comes here, does it end up being the second round pick? A lot of places have speculated. Does it end up being a third round pick, fourth round pick? I would say this: if you can get him for like a third, since our third is going to be basically a fourth, I'd probably be all for it because you guys have heard me talk about it for a month now. I think he's the best cornerback out there. I love his aggressiveness. The only downside I really have with Ladarius Sneed is the fact he gets flagged a lot. I mean, he is a physical and aggressive corner, so you're going to get more flags. If you can get that cleaned up, though, he's not the lockdown elite corner, but he's just a level below that. Dean B, what do you got? I'm expecting a light start to free agency. Woo! And sorry if I can't woo like I normally do, guys, but still getting the voice back and still can feel all the muscles I used in my chest coaching on Friday night. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we're not getting more news, to your point, Dean B, is that, I would say you're pretty spot on. It might be a lighter start, or everybody's really playing stuff close to the chest until tomorrow. Because I really thought by this morning we would have some information come out, but maybe it's just going to be later in the day. All right, 9 Drinks. The show must go on 100%. There's no way to stop the show. I'm here for you guys 7 days a week, and you know what? I enjoy it. I think it seems like most of you guys enjoy it as well. All right, Anthony, does anyone know what Brad's job was moving up the ranks? He was a combine scout, writing up the players. That is why he's so proficient at drafting. Yeah, and I know we've gotten information over the last year or so how he was working at car rental place. I think it was Enterprise. He was evaluating players. He was starting off in lower capacities with teams and it just eventually moved his way on up. So kudos to him. He literally worked his way up the food chain in the NFL and has done a great job with it. So he owns the draft, and I'm expecting this year's draft, he's probably going to find another 1 to 2 starters, maybe 3. And other than that, just building the depth across the board. Now, some of the guys drafted this year, maybe people have the take on him that, hey, he just didn't have a great draft. This guy isn't starting. This guy isn't starting. But that's also a reflect of the current team that we have, that there's so much talent on there. Most guys are probably going to have to play their way into starting spots or playing time in general. Also means they're probably going to see more Broderick Martin types, people that they say, hey, this guy's got a ton of potential, but we're going to have to develop him for a season or two before we really get him ready to play. So give Brad Holmes all the kudos in the world for the job he's done here. Ed, we lost more players than I anticipated this offseason. Lucas is a head scratcher. I believe Brad has his pot stirring, a lot of defensive signings and drafts. Yeah, and I think you're 100% right. I think he's not going to reveal everything. It's a sign of the times, and we knew what was going to happen eventually, or somebody Brad Holmes drafted would not remain with the team. And Lucas is the first one, and he won't be the last one. Brad Holmes has got some sort of plan schemed up. He's got it on his board. He's connecting the dots, and probably tomorrow by 1 p.m. or 6 p.m., we're going to start seeing bits and pieces of that offseason plan really come into place. Ed, how many guys think Brad will sign one of our free agents today? I'd say there's a possibility. Yeah, I'd say there's a possibility of that for sure. I'm just I'm playing off Robert Patterson's comment 2 below us, where I don't think it's going to be Will Harris is getting signed today. I'll be really surprised if Will Harris is back. Robert G, they won't sign Chris Jones. LOL. Woo! No, he's gone and off the board, but doesn't mean somebody else doesn't become available. Yes, Will Harris, Robert, has to go 100%. I just don't see him coming back, man. But he clearly has been a fan or a favorite of the coaching staff. Tailor-made media deals could already be done. They could 100%, just not announced. That is correct, 1,000%. They could be all set. They could all be all done, just not reported. The only thing I'm saying is tailor-made is normally you get leaks, and it still could happen today. But I was just really anticipating we would have some sort of leak across the NFL that would come out today. So that hasn't happened. Give everybody kudos and praise for not getting that information out, being able to keep it in house. Thomas, what do you got? Hunter will make the biggest impact on our team, I believe. All right, yeah. If that ends up happening, that would be huge, massive. I say to you, Thomas. All right, Thomas. Looks like the Eagles are signing Barkley and Bryce Huff. They get them both. Yeah, that would be those would be big ones for Philly. And what does that do to Swift? Is he going to? That'll be another question. So there's going to be dominoes across the board. This guy gets signed here, goes there. Other guys are now going to end up being free agents because of it. So that will also add two things. All right, Thomas, I would like the Lions to make a push for Wilkins and Grenard. I wouldn't be upset with either one of them. And I think that goes back to, I want to say it was Ed's question earlier, where do you want the Lions to make the big time signing, or do you want them to pick out a few guys that are, not elite, but would definitely help out the team? And it just seems to me that's probably more where the Lions ultimately go. Brad Holmes goes. It's not the elite guys. It's the levels below them. All right, Ed, after the miraculous 12-5 season, I'm curious, are the Lions going to be held to that winning standard? At some point that becomes the expectation, right? It's no longer the asterisk, it's the expectations. And that's where I think this year will be a really important year for the Lions, because you've gone from 9 wins to 12 wins. As long as you're somewhere around that, I think now basically a 10-win season is the norm for Detroit. And that's where the fans are going to expect every year. It's no longer just a feel-good story. Hey, we made it to the playoffs. Hey, we won, 10, 12 games. Now it's, hey, you need to do that every year, and you need to progress further in the playoffs and be relevant every year. If they can do this for the next 3 to 5 years and, get to the Super Bowl once or twice, just imagine what kind of times and expectations us as fans have, instead of just hoping to be 500, just hoping to be relevant. Now the hope and the norm will be, hey, 10-ish wins, playoff run, contending for a Super Bowl. And that's just how much this coaching staff and front office will need a lot of thought and praise for the annals of Detroit Lions history, because they will have completely gutted and changed the face of the franchise. All right, Ed, I'm looking forward to more to Tuesday's chat. Should be a real option chat. Yeah. And I get opinion chat. Yeah. I get you on that. Yeah, you get into tomorrow, and then like you're saying, Ed, you get into Tuesday morning, where we probably have some real meat to talk about as far as, news updates on the Detroit Lions. Yeah. 100%. Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially all next week, outside of maybe tomorrow morning, should be just great stuff for Lions fans to talk about and speculate on. Thomas, I actually wanted a couple second tier cornerbacks that will allow us to focus on the trenches in the draft, as well as developmental cornerbacks in the draft. Yeah, I get that, Thomas. Yeah, 100%. You can get somebody in there to stabilize things. I mean, Emmanuel Mosley, I'm anticipating, is going to be fully healthy and ready to go for the season. That also being said, I do think they're going to look to re-sign one, maybe two more corners. I mean, 2 seems like a lot for me, but you want to have a stable secondary, a bunch of guys out there that you feel strong about. That could be a possibility. And then, like you said, now in the draft, there's just less need to force anything in the draft. Not that I think Brad Holmes is going to force anything, but you can really target offensive line, defensive end, depth across the board, developmental guys. So I agree with you fully. Robert, greetings and salutations to all. Back at you, my friend. Thomas, I didn't expect the Lions to come out swinging Monday at noon. I think Brad exhibited patience, and he won't veer off that strategy. No, I don't think he's going to overpay by any means. So he's not going to go for probably the first couple of guys. He's going to let everybody else kind of, beat themselves up trying to get these few guys, the elite guys, and then he'll go for the next level. Yeah, and just so you guys know, I know you already seen it in the chat, but there you go. There's the contact information for Anthony for the T-shirts. Thomas, Stephon Gilmore on a 2-year deal, draft defensive tackle in the first round, draft cornerback O-line in the second round. Yeah, that would totally work. 1,000%. Yeah, there'd be no issues with that at all. Don Kong, Super Bowl or bust. I agree with you on that. And you know what? Good to see you as always, Donkey. All right, Thomas, I'm not worried about not signing a big name, exclamation point. So far, I've seen nothing to doubt Brad and Dan, but the salary cap will soon be an issue. We cannot get out over our cash wise early wise too early. Okay, I'll go with that. And I get what you're saying, Manny. If you spend too much money in free agency this year, it's going to handicap us in future years. So I have no doubt Brad Holmes is going to be fiscally responsible for this team and not really put us in a bad spot. Nogate, relax, fellas. Holmes will not go after any top cash free agents. I agree with you there. No worries. He ain't stupid. No, he's like we've been talking about. It's at least my anticipation he's going to go for once the big names go off the board, he'll go for the next guys. Lone Wolf, do you think the Lions? Who do I think the Lions will sign? It's probably going to be some mid-level players. I mean, we speculated for weeks on who that will be and such. I do think if Lattimore becomes available, he's probably an interesting prospect for Detroit. I do think there's a couple ho-hum defensive ends that the Lions could go after for sure, as far as to try to add some depth to the defensive line, maybe even interior defensive line as well. I also think that Jonah Jackson's probably going to be out of here. And again, you're going to probably try to sign 2 people for the cost of one Jonah Jackson or about that cost. All right, Dave, Stephon Gilmore and Quantes Stiggers. Yeah, it's I would say, who knows on that kid. I've given you guys my thoughts on him in past videos. There's a lot to like about him. You can also see where he's got a lot of technique that needs to be developed as well. So whether it's him drafted or somebody else in the draft, I have no doubt the Lions are going to address the secondary via the draft and add some prospects, some people who are going to have to be developed over time by the coaching staff and get reps. All right, Thomas, looks like Glasgow and Detroit are going to come to terms with a 2-year, $12 million deal. I expect to hear that tomorrow. Yeah, and that seems more logical to me because, like I said, you get him, you get another player similar to him. That offensive line, one of the 2 guards might not be Jonah Jackson-esque, but you're probably going to be able to afford 2 people versus 1. And if you can get both people around $6 million a year, I mean, that's still going to be more than likely $5 to $6 million cheaper than what Jonah Jackson's going to command. This market is saturated with safeties and overpriced vets. I would tread cautiously with these players. Yeah, you've really seen, in my opinion, the safety position really get just cut left and right from multiple different teams. And there's some quality safeties out there. That's one reason why with Gardner Johnson, his asking price might go down versus what we signed to just a year ago, because you've seen so many all-pro guys, no longer going to remain with their team. It does seem like teams are saying we can draft or find cheaper options at safety and save some money that way to expend on other parts of the roster. All right, Moonscar, good morning, Coach, and the best crew of the do. There you go, and good morning, buddy. Hopefully having a great one. Michael, greetings and salutations, Coach and do crew, exclamation points. DST, all right, fair enough. All right, I'll go with that. All right, Dean B, no clue what Holmes will do in free agency, but I trust it. Yeah, whatever he ends up going to and doing, choosing to do, I think he's earned the street cred from us as fans. All right, Kim, sorry, late to the conversation. Does draft start tomorrow at 1 p.m.? The free agency does. Yes, the free agency starts tomorrow. Correct. Anthony, you don't need big dollar players at needed positions. You just need solid football players. Correct. And that does seem to be the approach that the Lions have historically done in free agency. They use the draft to try to acquire guys and make them or grow them into being elite. So, yeah, I think you're spot on with that, man. Aaron, good morning. Good evening in Australia. What do you think about Leonard Williams? That'd be a nice pickup. Now, what's the cost going to be, though? That's where I would go with it. But yeah, could we go ahead and get him? Absolutely, 100%. No questions asked. Thomas, Brad told everyone at the end of the year press conference that he does not look to win the offseason headlines. Correct. He did do that. He made a big point on that. Be prepared for no big headliners. Yeah, and that would be consistent with what he's done in the past, because he's not going for the big names. He's going for names that I think everybody knows to some extent. At least if you really follow the NFL, you know them, I should say. But he's going for the guys that he feels like fits what they're trying to ultimately do, and that appears to be fill in holes in free agency, not elite players, fill in the holes, the roster, so there's less weaknesses. And then with the draft, we're going to, draft well, we're going to grow and develop, and we're going to retain those players. D. Ray, what do you got? I hope we trade for Greg Newsome. He's better better be a younger option than Steve. Man, I just can't talk to more this morning, guys, and sorry about that. You would have his 5th-year option. He is a very good corner. And like we talked about on yesterday's show, Cleveland's just blessed that they can say, hey, we can let him go, because they have so many other great, I won't say great, but very good outside corners. They need a slot. They don't have one. They're going to have to acquire one, draft or whoever else, free agency. But yes, if Newsome's available, and my guess is his asking price in a trade is somewhat less, I could see it happening. And, most of you, if you watched news yesterday on the NFL, you're aware of, Denver made some trades. Cleveland's picked up some parts. They may be looking to get rid of Newsome to try to basically balance out some of the draft picks they've given up. All right, Thomas, Jonah Jackson being linked to the Niners. I can see that 100%. Yeah, and where he ends up going, who knows? But just repeat it, I like the idea of letting him go, and not because I don't like the guy. I just think, again, his asking price is going to be somewhere around 17, 19 mil a year, and getting Glasgow and somebody else, not quite his ability level, but they're not far off. But you can get 2 guys for the price of 1. All right, Thomas, D-Ray, yes. Okay. D-Ray and cheaper, correct. Hater's House, hey, haven't seen you in a minute, man. Good to see you. Extend Will Harris now. Oh, boy, here we go. Yeah, it's a 20-year contract, maybe 100 mil. Haters, yes, just kidding. It really makes you wonder how he's been able to stay with the team so long. But kudos to him, man. He's been on it and getting paid. Taylor Made. At Ed Bates the hell out of 5 and 12 every year. Correct. Yes. The new Lions, yeah, we're our average at least 2 years in a row for the past 2 seasons over 10 wins. So you got to love that. Man Bear, Green's Salutations crew, back at you. Thomas, we can really build the O-line depth in the draft. Yes, we can. And I think we probably will. Robert G., remember the free agency goes to around April 20th. So many people have to wait even longer for Brad to do something. Yeah, I agree with you guys, because you look at, just use last year as an example. Yes, we got a signing opening day, and then it was every couple days after that, we added somebody else just for depth purposes. All right, Mile Margaret, what do you got? Good morning, One Pride, back at you, One Pride indeed. All right, Ed, TaylorMade, I agree. I like the do statement. 10 wins should be the expectations. Yeah, from probably the next few years, 10, 11, 12-year wins, somewhere around that range. That's probably becoming our norm. 9 Drinks, LTL, the best way to jumpstart an early morning. Oh, I'm glad you enjoy it, and now enjoy it with a delicious Mountain Dew or whatever you drink, man. Whatever you drink, 9 Drinks. All right, Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Dew Crew, Super Bowl or bust. 100% agreed on that. 9 Drinks, thanks, Dan. Hey, anytime, man. One Funky, don't need to add superstars on superstar contracts. Just need to add upgrades. I would agree with that. Yeah, there's going to be. I mean, look around how many people have been cut from their teams in the last week. There is a gluttony of mid-age players. So 25, 26, a ton of guys now 28, 29, 30. You want to get some people, you want to fill out some spots and probably be able to get team-friendly deals. You should be able to do that if you're Brad Holmes and beef up the team while keeping the salary cap down. All right, Robert G., in my opinion, Brad and MCDC like blue collar players, not just big name guys. Yeah, I would say that's 1,000% correct. Yeah, no doubt about that. Johnny V. Greens, salutations, Duke Crew. Hope Phil is okay. Rock on. Yeah, hopefully we get an update from Phil a little bit here. So I haven't seen him just yet. Thomas, you do not build a team through free agency. I definitely would love a Danielle Hunter or a Snead, but that risk of not re-signing the core in 2 years. Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't sign them at the risk of not being able to sign. I'm not going to do it in my head who's going to be up for contracts in 2 years, but we all get Penei Sewell's going to get paid. We all know Amon Ra's going to get paid. I would say there's at least strong evidence that Jared Goff is going to get an extension. And then beyond that, you start looking at other drafted players that they're going to want to keep in-house. If you're going to spend a bunch of money on Hunter or Snead, that is going to impact who you can keep or the amount of players you can keep. How about that? All right, Anthony, we have a list of players to choose from. The list we don't have is the 32 list that the GMs have. We don't see. Yeah, it's all speculation, guessing games at this point. Who's going to get signed here? Who's going to go there? But you know what? By this time tomorrow, we probably have some information leaked out, and definitely in the next 48 hours, you're going to start seeing guys, fly off the board. Haters House, what do you got? Will Harris has dirt on Sheila or Brad. It's the only explanation. Kurt Steele, I don't think he's in the chat this morning, but he had a big joke last year when Will Harris didn't get cut. That man, he must have some tapes on somebody, and I won't say more than that, but you guys get the gist that he had some dirt on somebody, and we all just laughed because you're 100% right. I'm not sure what Will Harris, other than maybe a locker room presence, the fact that he can play some safety, corners, special teams. I'm not sure how he remained on the team so long, but hey, while we can all joke about it, he's never been a problem as far as like personality wise or distraction. So there maybe is some value to that. And Johnny V, can't wait to see the new stable. Tired of beating the proverbial dead horse. Yeah. And I think at this point, yeah, everybody just wants some actual factual news, not just speculation news. So I think you're correct on that. Thomas, we already know the Eagles and the Niners and Bears are going to come out tomorrow and make all the headlines. Then our fans base will start to panic. Yeah. Then, yeah, I agree on that. When you see everybody else doing something and you're doing nothing, everybody gets antsy, right? They start jumping around, wanting something because those fans are going to be on social media or whatever else jumping up and down when they sign this guy, that guy. Hey, we got a Super Bowl. It's going to happen. And then you're looking all around and going, well, how about our team? What are we doing? And so I get it. But we all need to also appreciate what Brad Holmes is doing and saying, hey, let those big name guys go. Let those big contracts go. When some other players aren't getting that, their asking price maybe comes down a little bit. They're more open to negotiations. And you're not in a bidding war. Yeah, that's when we'll be able to see what Brad Holmes is going to do. Bird time. Good morning, Duke Crew and Dan. Thanks for a great Lions channel. Definitely my go-to channel for Lions content. Exclamation points. Woo! Free agents start this week. Yes, free agency starts this week. And Bird time, man, you help out a lot with things. So appreciate all you do for the channel. Al, what do you got? First timer. What will be the cost for the St. Brown in your opinion? I'm going to stick to probably right around $25 million a year. I mean, it could be 26 or 7, could be 23 or 4, but it's going to be somewhere at least pretty close to that, I think. And you're probably looking at a 3 to 4 year deal. Now, maybe you can get his cost down a little bit by guaranteeing more and maybe adding another year to the contract. So that is a potential options for Brad Holmes. But my anticipation is somewhere in the next month, if not sooner, we'll have all the details on it. Michael, I agreed. Robert G. Okay. Anthony, we will not have prima donnas on this. I guarantee it. Yeah. On the team, it's just not that type of coaching staff. They don't want those kind of players. It's no disrespect to those guys. It's just not where Brad Holmes, the front office, the Lions coaching staff, it's not where they seem to be likely to go with things. And if you use the past as a prelude to the future, then I would say this. You're 100% right, Anthony. They're going to go for a very specific type of personality to put on this team. Team, yeah, I got you, man. All right, Dean B might be biased, but I'd love to see Mikey Centrilli on as a line. Yeah, the U of M 5'9". What do you want? Corner / nickel back. Yeah, I get it, man. He's been a great story, and because if you're a Michigan fan, you're familiar with him. There's probably a little bit of homerism with it, but you know what? The guy's not bad. Just is he going to fit in here? The one issue I would have with him is where are you going to play him, because Brian Branch is going to man the slot, unless I guess you're going to move Branch to one of the outside corners, but he seems very entrenched at the slot. Now, could you add him for depth? Yeah, 100%. You could do that for sure. Aaron, if Lions can get Blake Corum, that would give us 3 very good running backs. Plus, when Mo's contract is up and doesn't resign, we still have a good 2. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. My question is, where's Corum going to get drafted? And not that we couldn't go on for him, but I've got a real wonder. I've got my thoughts where I think basically he'll get drafted. But let's see what you guys have to say. Me personally, I think he's going to be a middle rounds running back draft, but maybe not. Thomas, we must continue to build through the draft! Exclamation points. Will Harris is staying because of the cash. That could be true. That's it. Look, he's not a superstar or stud, but he plays hard and is cheap. Yeah, this is also true. It's not going to cost a whole lot if they want to resign Will Harris to keep him. The other part is, like you said, he works hard, he plays hard. The coaches clearly have trust in him. And I guess you can make some argument he can be a weak side linebacker, emergency cornerback, safety, special teamer. So from that standpoint, he's cheap. He's not a locker room issue. He can go all over the place. Yeah, I can get what you're saying there, Thomas. Burger Time, welcome to the channel. Al, yeah, 100% there, Al. Welcome in. Glad you're here. Ed, I wonder what pressure Brad can put on AG to coach at a high level consistently. Seems like we fire a good portion of AG staff every year. Whew. Can you put pressure on him? Sure. How effective that is when a general manager or owner puts pressure on a coach? Probably not much. I mean, coaches are aware what they're doing, what they're not doing when the pressure's on them to potentially produce or get fired. So assuming AG is the norm and he gets that he's received a lot of flack the last few seasons, I'm trying to be as fair as well I can be when I say this. I do think he's improved. I do think most Lions fans are going to say he hasn't had a lot of stuff to cook with or, make a meal with or whatever. So if they go out and do get a lot more parts for him to play with this year, now I think that puts more pressure on him, because everybody's looking around and saying, well, they just added this guy, they just added that guy. You already had some decent pieces here. If they're not performing at that point, then I think Aaron Glenn's in real danger to not be retained. Robert, Dan, you better get a drink. LOL, you will have no voice. Yeah, after the show, I'll go get my morning Mountain Dew. And I was so busy, like I said at the start of the show, with the issues with the program. Normally I have like a glass of water right here, and I try to make sure I drink quite a bit before I go on the air, but I was so distracted with trying to get this stupid issue fixed. I didn't even get that done. So apologies if I'm a little hoarse and such. All right, Thomas, still don't understand how coaches get fired around AG, but yet he still remains. Seems to me he might be the problem. That'll be the big question. If you've gone through that many different positional coaches, individual coaches on the team, and this year they don't go out and produce while assumingly they're getting more and more talent, that would be a problem. But I like AG. I think he's very much the same as Ben Johnson or Motor City Dan, that you can see where they've grown. You can see where they're developing. But in the grand scheme of things, all 3 individuals are still fairly young by most positional coaches or head coaching standards. MCDC, I get, he was kind of a stand-in or intern coach in Miami for a bit. He learned a lot with the Saints, but he's still, as far as somebody into head coaching, he's still not got a ton of head coaching experience. Aaron Glenn, kind of the same thing with the defensive coordinator position. He's growing, he's evolving, but still 3 seasons is not a lot. And same with Ben Johnson. And I think that's could be part of the reason why maybe all of them haven't been hired somewhere else as far as Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, just because in the scheme of things, they're fairly fresh to coaching in their respective positions. All right, Thomas, if me, St. Brown, 100 million, 5 years, plus incentives up to 120 mil. 5 years, that's 100 mils. That's not that bad by look at the going rates and such. Yeah, if you could do that, I'd probably sign him in a heartbeat, just because that's probably at that point a very team friendly deal. So good call on that one. All right, Robert, hopefully you hit that sun button. Al, you won't regret it. Sub button. Okay. Dan is class act. Thanks for that, Robert. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. And hopefully, Al, if you enjoy it, you'll sub and like the videos. All right. Thomas, Corum, 4th round. Yeah, that's about what I was thinking. 3rd, 4th round, somewhere in that range. Bo, we must stay focused, brothers. It's all about the grit, 100%. Yeah. And that's probably the type of players they're going to continually go for. Ed W., out of all the players lost, released, or just not re-signed this offseason, in your opinion, which one is the most surprising? Out of the guys we lost or didn't resign, to me, probably Chase Lucas, just because, one, he's the first drafted player that we will have parted ways from. 2, cornerback is a needed position for us. 3, the kid has some athleticism and some assertiveness, aggressiveness. Just for whatever reason, I'm going to guess they just felt other options like Gilmore have matured and developed more, so they can part ways with Chase Lucas. And I know some of you have already speculated, maybe some deals have already been set up for the Lions to sign somebody once free agency hits, and that could be another layer to why he was let go. So that's the one I think I was most surprised by. All right, Detroit and North, greetings, salutations all. Mid-tier corner and Hunter. I mean, that would definitely be a possibility. Hunter, the only reason why I would say there's maybe real possibility for him signing with the Detroit is because we know last year Brad Holmes tried to get him. Now that you don't have to trade anything to get him, you do have to sign to a contract. That seems to me that it might be a reason to think he could be a Detroit Lion. Thomas, to me, biggest question is J-Mo, exclamation points. Does he continue to be a piece or the man? I think he's going to end up being closer to the man. I don't know if he'll ever be the man, like a Randy Moss, Jerry Rice type player. But I think, you look at last year, and especially once he got to the playoffs, his trajectory throughout the year was up. It might not have been a straight line up, but it was consistently up. And I will say this, my opinion, the NFC title game was his best game as a pro, and it was a pretty decent game. I think he's going to continue to evolve and develop. Thomas, if you go 12-5, how are you firing the defensive coordinator? I don't get it. Yeah, and assuming that the defense plays well, by any kind of a measuring stick, yeah, I don't think he's going to get fired if they do that. So I think you're right there, Taylor. All right, Haters House, considering the lack of talent we had on defense, I'm shocked that we had basically the best rush defense in the NFL. Yeah, to your point, Haters, I think they really did say last year we can't fix everything on offense and defense in this particular offseason. What we're going to do is we're going to get just a couple parts on D, and we're going to really focus on making you fairly one-dimensional. We're going to stop the run, and then it'll have to be another year before we can really focus on stopping the pass. So yeah, I think you're good on that, man. Robert, no apologies necessary. Thanks for that, man. Thank you very much for that. Bo, what do you got? AG and Will Harris tied to the hip? Could be. Maybe they just are good bros or something. Will Harris, I get we've talked about it. He's and I made my jokes on him too. He is what he is. He's the gung ho guy. Everybody seems to appreciate and is thankful for because he tries so hard. And he can play a multitude of different positions. He's just not great at any of them by any stretch. But is he sound and reliable? Do you know what you're going to get out of him? There's probably a lot of thought there too. Al, thanks for the welcome. Berg time. What's the situation with place kicker? Will they stay with Badgley? I'll say this. You could do a lot worse than Michael Badgley. but I don't think him signing that 1-year contract is going to preclude the Detroit Lions from looking at other options should they emerge, whether through undrafted players in the draft or somebody gets released from a team. So I'll say this for Brad Holmes, if the better option becomes available to the team and he can acquire that option, he's going to do it regardless of the position. All right, Anthony, this is what's happening. MCDC schooling Johnson for a head coaching job. He goes to Texas after this year. Ben Johnson, our new head coach, or MCDC. All right, well, so you're saying that Motor City Dan will be leaving for Texas to be the head coach, and Ben Johnson will replace him as head coach. I mean, it could happen. I know there was a little bit of speculation in the offseason that there was a college after MCDC. I just, if it happens, it happens. I just think MCDC is going to be here until the day comes that they ask him to leave. And that happens to every coach at some point, whether you're Bill Parcells or, whoever, Bill Belichick, some point, unless you retire or leave on your own terms, it's inevitable for any coach. You're going to be got. All right, Berg time. I've been tough on AG the last 2 years. I'm going to back off until he gets real talent. But in your opinion, he does seem arrogant and stubborn. Yeah, I would agree with definitely the stubborn part. Maybe the arrogance is a result of being stubborn. I don't know, but I think you're pretty good on that. All right, Thomas, I would like the Lions to sign place kicker Nick Folks. Looks like he is available. I mean, again, I think if Brad Holmes can upgrade a position in his eyes, he's going to do it regardless of the position. All right, Bird time. They re-signed Badgley, but time will tell. Yeah, he's got a 1-year deal, and I'm speculating. I don't know the details of Badgley's contract, but my guess is there's virtually none of it guaranteed or very, very little. How about that? And Thomas, AG is not where he needs to be as a coach yet. Okay, well, I'll go with that. The D needs to be in the top 10 all around to get us to the mountaintop. Yeah, if he can, I mean, some of it will help if they get better players. And as he continues to evolve as a coach, just like MCDC, just like Ben Johnson, they're going to be better and better with things. I would anticipate them all to be better in different situations this upcoming season than the past, just because the amount of experience they have. So there's thoughts for that too. All right, Dean B, what do you got? AG is definitely stubborn, sticking with his starters. Needed to play iffy earlier. Yeah, and I can remember the Thanksgiving Day game. To me, that's probably what ultimately forced him into the change. Is, we talked all season long about Tracy Walker's a great dude. He's a great Lion. He is Mr. Lion and all that. But that doesn't mean Tracy Walker can do anything in coverage. He can play the run great. He can run forward great. To me, he was a lot like Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah, to me, should have been a free or maybe a strong side safety. He's somebody who could run forward and hit and obliterate anything in front of him. Probably play some good underneath zone coverage, Okudah and Tracy Walker. But in any kind of man coverage, or I even say deep zone coverage, Tracy Walker, it just wasn't his forte. And it's unfortunate for him because he was a good guy. He was great for the team for a while. But at some point, the better players got to play. And to your point, Dean, if he probably should have been in there a little bit sooner. But it is what it is. Detroit North, what do you got? Snead for the second this year and second 25. Would you do it? Would I do it? Our second? I like Snead, but probably not just because the price tag for re-signing him. I will say this. I think you don't have to give up 1 second round to get him. I'd be more inclined. Could you get Kansas City? Here's the thought. Could you get Kansas City to sign him and say, all right, fine, we'll give you this year's second round pick, but you're going to have to eat 10, 15% of that contract, at least for the first year or two. Something like that. I mean, I guess it just comes down to what's the market for Snead? Are there 4, 5, 6 teams trying to acquire him? Or is there one team trying to acquire him? And if you can figure out there's just one team trying to get him, then yeah, I'd put some of this on Kansas City. I mean, you need to get rid of him probably at this point because of what you're paying Mahomes and now Chris Jones. But yeah, I like the guy a lot. I just also don't want to give up a ton for him just because while I think he's very good, and I've talked about that on the show for a while, I do think there's a lot of guys that are not vastly different than him that are going to cost you significantly less. I guess I should just say that Detroit North. All right, Thomas, Banshee's contract, basically a camp competition signing after they're going to bring in other characters. Yeah, I'd say that's spot on with that. Thomas, Detroit North, not too, no, too much. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Boo, what do you, Bo? Monday afternoon, exclamation point. Coach, are you going to update us? Yeah, especially now that the season's over for my team that I coach. Yeah, breaking news out unless I'm out showing houses. I'll be able to go live and tell you guys stuff as it happens. Thomas, AG not playing Branch most of the Niners game in place of CJ Gardner-Johnson was inexcusable. Yeah, and the only thing I would say is it was noteworthy to me that Branch wanted or wants Gardner-Johnson back. But yeah, unless there was a reason why they took Branch off the field, extended leave, like, hurt, dinged up, something like that. That's the only reason why I would logically say you would take him off. So it'd be interesting to hear Aaron Glenn speak on that at some point. Retired Fire, what do you got? Greetings, salutations to the best group going. Thanks, Coach, for a great season with a great bunch of Lions fans. Bay City Big Bear Rick. All right. Well, Rick, as always, thanks for being a part of the show and the chat. And you know what? We do have a pretty good group here. Everybody here contributes. Everybody here helps out. You know what? We're all just real lucky to be a part of the Dude crew, I guess. Bo, what do you got? Mad Hatter. There you go. Thomas, Rush D went to hell. Yards per carry when Bugs bugged out. Better fix that. Yeah, and I'm guessing they're going to probably address that this offseason. 100% agree. Thomas, can't wait till we stock the defense up and people still make excuse for AG. The guy is stubborn as hell and goes away from what works. There's probably a lot of truth in all of the above, but I'm hoping that he continues to grow and develop. Bo, MCDC wins Super Bowls, then leave. Maybe, but I don't know, man. I get the sense with MCDC, he's here. This is his team. He's rebuilt it, and all that stuff. I'm not sure he's going to leave at any point. I think he's the type person that he's put so much work into something that he's going to want to, ride or die with it, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's like at some point he gets, enough years in where he's like, man, I want to go do it all over. I like the process of rebuilding and starting something from scratch. Maybe that does compel him. All right, Robert G., good day to all, and take care. Same to you, Robert. Hopefully you have a great day. Yes, waving at you, buddy. Berg time, I agree, Thomas. I've been saying that for 2 years. Yes, I know a lot of people have, man. JDC, Bo, what do you got? As long as he wins a Super Bowl before he deep sixth, all right? Before you're deep sixth. All right, fair enough, man, fair enough. Berg time, he doesn't adapt or make changes when something isn't working. No, he's been slow with that. I will agree with that. But I'm just thinking he's going to get faster and faster with more experience and maybe more talent. Bo, what do you got? JDC, amen, 100%. Anthony, if you trade back the 29th pick, more than likely you get a second or third or fourth and fifth for it. This is true. And now could you use some of that, I think you're saying, to acquire other players, maybe a Snead or something like that? That would make sense. Yes, agreed. Thomas, watch the film. CJ Gardner-Johnson forgot how to tackle. Yeah, I guess maybe some of it's rust or the injury or whatever, but he just wasn't as impressive as I think most people thought he would be. But I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass just because of the injury and coming back from it. So just some thoughts for you guys. JDC, I'll throw in a howl. Woo! Yeah, there you go. There you go, JDC. Don, morning coffee and Lions talk. Thanks. Well, about ready to be time for a morning Mountain Dew for me. So thanks for all of you guys being here, though. Thomas, watch the film. CJ Gardner forgot how to tackle. Just saying, film tells all. Yes, I concur. Yep. Mike, a great show, Coach. Thanks to you. You guys make it great. Keep that in mind. Dean B, I don't think MCDC leaves. I saw AG in downtown Birmingham after the draft. Seemed very happy. Need some more talent on D, but I love seeing coaches happy to be in Detroit. Not always been common. No, you're 100% correct. Not everybody is in the past wanted to be here. So if you got some people that actually want to be here, kind of embrace that. Great show, Gone Fishing. We'll go enjoy the fishing. And I guess with that, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead and hit the gym, get the morning Mountain Dew, and get ready for work. So if there's some breaking news later today, I'll try to get it to you guys as fast as possible. Otherwise, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are about 30 subs away from hitting 6,000. So if you could help out with that, it'd be great. Also, if you got a quick second, hit the thumbs up button. Take care. Enjoy your days. And we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.